Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. I am the Backwoods Heathen. We're going to go a little bit of different route on this video, a little bit different subject matter. Today we're going to talk about my journey to atheism. Now, many people have asked me, like, how did you come to the conclusion that you don't believe in God? You don't believe in any God? And I got to tell you, it wasn't a quick process. This is something that evolved in me over many, many years. You see, I grew up Christian. I grew up going to church. I grew up going to Bible classes and Bible camp. I even have sang in church choirs. But you see, I always kind of had doubts. And a lot of these doubts, it didn't seem like anybody had a really good answer to my questions. So what I decided to do was, instead of searching out answers from other people, being a Christian at the time as I was, I decided that I was going to get my answers straight from the Bible. So at about the age of 11 or 12, I sat down and I read the entire Holy Bible. That was a game changer. I mean, the first time I read it, I'll admit, I thought to myself, all right, I had to have missed something. There was something I took out of context, something I missed. I had to read it again because I was thinking to myself, like, I had to have missed something. I can't have just misunderstood. So I went back and I read it again. And I read it again. And I read it again. And I tell you, by the fourth time, I couldn't really call myself a Christian anymore. And the main reason was that I could not align my morals, my sensibilities, with a lot of what I read in the Bible. When I read about genocide and slavery, when I read about women being less than men, how about people being able to sell their daughters into slavery? I mean, these are kinds of things that it just didn't sit with me. So after a while, I decided to myself, I was like, there has to be something out there that I can't, in good conscience, worship a God like this. I can't worship a God that would do these things. I can't do it. So I started to look around. And I looked and I looked for a long, long time. I tried out many different belief systems. I've read the Quran. I've read a lot of different religious texts involving Buddhism, Hinduism, even Judaism. But nothing ever sat right with me. But as I got older, I decided, me thinking what way I did, I said there has to be something. So what I finally decided on, and I decided on this and stuck to it for a long ass time, was paganism. Now a lot of people ask me, why paganism? What appealed to you about paganism? Well, I'll explain it. I've always been a nature lover. And anybody who knows anything about paganism knows that a lot of pagans worship nature. Especially a lot of Wiccans and such are very much nature worshippers. And the idea of nature being the divine force or the holy force in this world, in somewhat way, made sense to me. If you think about it, everything we need, everything we desire, everything we got comes from nature in some way or another. So it made sense to me at the time. But as I kept going and going, I started to examine other people's beliefs. And for a long time, I would laugh. When I read about things like Scientology, when I read things about Mormonism and the Jehovah's Witness, I would laugh at these people because to me their beliefs were ridiculous. And then came a day I'll never forget. While I was laughing at this guy one day, which he was a Jehovah's Witness, and I wasn't laughing in his face. I was kind of just silently chuckling to myself as he went on with his whole spew. I went back into the house, and my older brother said something to me. He said, "What makes your beliefs less ridiculous than theirs?" And that gave me pause, because I didn't have an answer. I just didn't have an answer. I couldn't think of anything. So I decided to re-examine my beliefs. I looked into everything I could. I thought everything over my mind. I started listening to debates between theists and atheists. I started trying to listen out to both sides of the argument, and I tried to logically reason with myself what the truth was, because to me that's what's important. And that's something that I've heard other atheists say, and it's something that's actually resonated with me, is I want to believe as many true things as possible and as few wrong things as possible. So as I did my research and I looked more and more into everything I was believing, I started to realize that I couldn't call these other people's beliefs ridiculous, because at the time, mine were just as ridiculous. And in some cases, I would admit that they were even more so. They were even more ridiculous. I mean, at one point, I actually believed in fairies. I mean, if you can believe that, yeah. My justification was, when I would argue with Christians about this, well, you believe in angels, you believe in big people with wings. Well, I just believe in little people with wings. That was my I know it sounds ridiculous, but that was literally my justification for it. But as I started to be honest with myself and to really look at the world around me and examine everything that was going on around me, I just couldn't comprehend that any God would really be there. And there's been lots of different beliefs that I've given up over the years. Karma would be another example of this. What really got me about karma was I always liked the idea of cosmic justice, that everybody that does something wrong is going to get theirs in the end. But somebody else said something to me one day, which really got me thinking. They said, if you believe in karma, that everything that bad that happens to you was brought on you by something you did in the past, or, something wrong you've done. What about child rape? What about when somebody rapes an infant? What did that infant do for karma to punish that infant in such a way? Nothing, you can't reconcile that. You can't look at a child being raped and think, what did that child do to deserve that? It's a grotesque thought. And I've gradually had to come to terms with this. And as I did, I came to terms with more and more of my beliefs until I finally looked at it and said, I don't believe. It's not that I can't believe, but I don't. Which is a thing that is kind of odd. Because honestly, I don't think people choose what to believe. I really don't. I don't think that I could force myself now, as I am today, to believe in a God. I couldn't do it. I could not reconcile that with my experience, with logic, with rationality. I can't reconcile it. So the longer and longer I went on, the more and more I started to recognize that I was an atheist. But I didn't want to call myself an atheist. You see, I grew up with hearing the word atheist, and I really didn't understand what it meant. To me, atheists were just the godless people, the nihilists. People used to tell me they were morally corrupt, that they had no morals. Because how could you have morals without God? But what I found when I gave up my religion, when I gave up my belief in a God or a gods, is that my morals, my sensibilities, they didn't change. You see, anybody who knows me knows that I am a person that I don't kill without cause. I am a hunter, but I won't shoot anything that I won't eat. When I find a spider in my house, I'm known for catching it and taking it outside. I don't even particularly like swatting flies. Because one of my beliefs that has always stayed is that life in itself is in a way sacred. Now, I don't mean sacred by the way of God or, some divine system up there is saying it's sacred. I'm saying that every life has worth. And that it's not up to me to decide what lives have worth or what lives have more worth or less worth. That's not up to me. I can't look at, say, a spider and say that its life is somehow worth less than mine because I'm a human and it's a spider. That doesn't make sense to me. A life is a life no matter what it is. So the more I get along this route, the more I finally came to recognize that atheists weren't moral nihilists. They're not the boogeyman in the dark. An atheist is simply a man or a woman who has heard the claims of God and has found them lacking, which I have. Not only have I found the most of the gods that I've researched to be morally corrupt and even abominable in most cases, but I've also found that their morals and their all-powerfulness, it didn't add up. Nothing they say in these books added up to me. You know, when you have these divine claims of things out of the Bible, for instance, Jesus walking on water, we have millions and millions of other religions that have existed throughout the years. You know, humankind has created thousands and thousands upon thousands of gods throughout the years. Basically, what primitive humans have done is they've used these gods to explain a world around them that they didn't understand. They used it to make the world less scary. They used it to make it more palatable, basically. You know, something so that they were more able to understand it and more able to tolerate it. But at this point in human history, I feel like we should be moving past that. Nowadays, we have things like science. We have things like history. We have things that we can learn from, that we can look to help explain the world around us. Science being the main one. So, basically what I'm saying is that when I became an atheist, it wasn't because I rejected my family. It's not because I reject the things they taught me growing up. It's not even that I reject their belief, because it's not up for me to reject their belief. That's their belief. It's theirs, not mine. My acceptance or my rejection is completely unnecessary and honestly doesn't make a difference. People are going to believe what they're going to believe. But I could not reconcile my own morals, my own logical thinking, and my own rationale with the idea of God. So I know this video has been longer. It's been a little ranty or a little off the wall. I didn't script this out. I'm just literally talking off the top of my head here. If there's anybody that would like to ask a question about my beliefs, ask how I came to this decision, or wants me to get any further detail into what I'm talking about here, you're more than welcome to ask your question in the comments. But as for now, I think I'm going to end this. This has been the first part. I'll probably do more videos like this, trying to further explain why I came to the decision that I did, to the conclusion that I did. But for now, I'm just going to say, I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. I do not believe in any gods. Please don't take that personally. This is not a rejection of my family. It's not a rejection of the things they taught me or the values I grew up with. This is simply a rejection of religion, and that's it. So now I'm going to say goodbye. I am the Backwoods Heathen, and I'm out.